Today I'm going to talk to you about a paper we published in 2014. One of my residents wrote this up for me. I had noticed over the years that I never saw patients over the age of 27 form stretch marks on their breasts after breast augmentation, only women 27 and younger. And so we looked at our data, and what we found was about 500 breast augmentations over about a 3-year period. And of those, we had a smaller number, about 100 or so, who had breast augmentation 27 and younger. When we took a deep dive into the statistics, we found something very interesting. Of those women 27 and younger that had breast augmentation, about 3% developed stretch marks. Now that wouldn't seem like a whole lot or something we might write a paper about, except that when you see a young lady come into your office after a breast augmentation and they have stretch marks all over their breasts and they're red, that's pretty disconcerting. Fortunately, they lighten and they become not very visible at all. So when we took a deep dive into the data, what we found was super interesting. One other group published a similar paper around the same time that we did, finding that it was only younger women that formed stretch marks. There were other factors. Women who had never had a baby had a higher incidence of forming stretch marks. Women that formed stretch marks, and we had about 25 of them, the number peaked at about 9% at 19 years old. At 19 years old, growth hormone is at its highest level. So that was very interesting. The really interesting part was that all of our patients that had stretch marks had their surgery between days 14 and 28 of their menstrual cycle. Not a single patient had their surgery before the point of ovulation, or day 14. And this is what we found out that no other researcher had found out in the world. And when my resident presented it at our national meeting that year, he won first place in the residence competition, which was pretty nice. And so nowadays, when we schedule patients for breast augmentation who are 27 and younger, we schedule them and try to encourage them to have their surgery during the first 14 days of the menstrual cycle. And we've got an ongoing study, and the preliminary results are that we have drastically reduced to almost zero the incidence of stretch marks after breast augmentation in young women by carefully looking at when we schedule them for their breast augmentation. We believe it has to do with estrogen and progesterone and the levels in their body. It's very high in young women, and where those levels are during the menstrual cycle. We subsequently then looked at breast reduction patients, and we published another paper on that, and I'll describe what the results of that were in my next video blog. That's it for now.